Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to pray. So we need to move through. What are all these things? There's a lot of enemies marked, and I assume a lot of these are just like dead people. Like one of them has to be Skillet over there on the left. As far as marked NPCs, it's strange that there's just so many things, but I guess maybe those are all unconscious NPCs. There's a weirdness here. I can kind of excuse in the design the cafeteria on the space station being a little bit curved on one side and a little bit curved here. But you would, for the rest of the game, expect everything to be at right angles. You'd expect everything to have kind of that feel. And then you look at this map design, and it's like they just gave up completely on that concept and wanted to work at 45-degree angles and have curves and have curved hallways, which, yes, I could see maybe having the curved hallways, but if it was a space station, it would almost make sense that you'd go from a curved hallway to a room that still is at a right angle, and then there would just be a narrow connecting around the door section of each area. Visually, it's just not consistent, and particularly on a space station, it doesn't make a lot of sense that there is so much empty space in between each room, particularly in this case. Like, there really can't be anything else around this. Meanwhile, storyline-wise, we are in this situation where we're getting more backstory around the old Morgan Yu, who doesn't seem like she's much of a character, much of a nice person. And I think I'm going the right way, yeah. At any point there could be some booby traps. That's another problem here, is that we were booby trapped and attacked by the guy in the kitchen, and I don't know if we are just completely done with the guy in the kitchen and he's just run away, or what. But yeah, you're getting this backstory about this relationship, and all it really is winding up to is that I'm gonna go in this fitness center, and in this fitness center we're gonna find my girlfriend, Daniel Shu, our ex-girlfriend. We're gonna find her probably either turned into a phantom or brain controlled. We have a key to get into this person's room, so let's start with that. Pizza boxes. We're collecting a lot of garbage. One of the things that is, there's a new chip, kinesthetic, recycler charge, fabrication plan, that might be new. Although at this point I don't really need recycler charges. We're getting to a point, particularly with the inventory, and I literally just watched another YouTuber make a video say it by the title, "Game items are boring," and we totally are at that point with this game. And they even used Prey as one of their examples, in that it is just incredibly boring to have 25 different types of foods you can eat, which just have very minimal different styles of items in it. Are we upgrading the glue gun at this point? I guess we are. It is either upgrade the glue gun or upgrade the stun gun. I don't even see the stun gun. Here it is. Right. But yeah, it is just insane to have this many types of items here. Assuming this was the maximum, which it probably isn't as far as junk items. Bring that down to 3 or 4 junk items at most. I have no idea. I mean, even in this case, here you have a vodka that gives you 0.12 of green, 0.06 of silver, and 0.06 of red. And then you have pomegranate moonshine with the exact same icon. And all of these icons almost certainly were just purchased, not made specifically for this game. And it has different amounts. If anything, it seems like it is exactly double of what the vodka is. So potentially in this game there are 2 levels of a lot of items. But the idea of the alcohol in itself is not very useful. At a certain point I might make an argument to get rid of a pack of bullets too. So we have a new suit thing. Regenerate stamina more quickly. We can equip that. We have 1 more spot. And we've got a lot of emails here. My new reployer. I have yet to figure out what a reployer is. It looks like it's a suitcase. I want to thank you personally for the new reployer. This is from Daya Igui to Jordan Thornstein. I know some people have been in waiting lists to get one of these, and it was a pleasant surprise to find a new one in my office this morning. It is this feeling of gratitude that makes it awkward for me to trouble you further. However, if you could spare one of your engineers for a bit, it would be great if they could swing by and show me what it does. Thanks, Dayu Igui. So even he doesn't know what the reployer does. Part requests requisition. Wanted to clear a quote Morgan request again. Morgan was down in hardware today, just standing there as if not sure where to go. And when I offered to help, Morgan asked for more operator parts. I asked if the last ones we'd sent hadn't been sufficient, and I got a blank look. I mean, no offense, but Morgan's requisitioned enough to repair any operator in the station 5 times over now, and we have other operators that need maintenance, Clive. So at some point, Morgan was also just walking around the space station with her brain being messed with, which, if anything, it just highlights the possibility that Alex Yu has been mentally manipulating Morgan for a long time in a lot of different ways before he got to the full simulation neuromod aspect. And Morgan Yu seemed to be in on it, at least at the beginning, but at least that's what they're saying. But it seemed like she lost any ability to object fairly quickly. These little rooms don't make a lot of sense to be all in the same place. It would have made a lot more sense if there were several quarters in several different places. She almost certainly was requesting the exact same operator parts over and over again because she'd forgotten. It's interesting when you look at Morgan and how her rooms, the fake one and the real one, are laid out. It does kind of point her to be more of an engineer, and I've put all the neuromods really into being an engineer. Not probably consciously or subconsciously, just because all the engineer abilities lead to getting more neuromods, first and foremost. If you didn't play the way I played, I suspect you would have a real hard time coming up with resources to get neuromods to unlock more abilities. And in general, they probably have made the game in such a way that you don't really need as many abilities as I have. You probably don't need any abilities at all to actually finish the game. It would just be more difficult. You just have to be better at headshots, even though a lot of the shooting is actually random dice rolls as to whether you get critical shots or not, or whether you miss or not. It's not 100% whether the cursor is actually, the reticle is actually on the enemy. Yeah, it does feel like there might be an engineer ending versus a security ending versus a scientist ending versus more of a telepathy ending. There's an engineer achievement, but it is just for fixing a certain number of things in the game. Okay. Well, we were here. We started with this door. Let's go into the next room. Use William's key card to access his codes. And that finishes a side quest called The Corpse Vanishes, which gives us another option, another item. Green beetle gin. You know, I guess the game would be interesting, and it would be a unique thing if this game literally was all about alcohol, and that the workers were just all functional alcoholics, and there was only alcohol collectibles and very little food, very little anything else, cigarettes possibly. So the problem, of course, you run into this is like that Corpse Vanishes side quest is something we started a long time ago, and there's just so many little side quest stories that it's frankly impossible to figure out what has been going on, or what is going on. I need probably a recap of some sort. The clocks now say 0 to 16. They were saying like 10 before, so in-game time has moved. Morgan, you type in research. Sound available. Interesting. So that just gave me some scan stuff. Over the past several tests, Morgan has used different solutions to the same problem, even though we've been controlling every possible variable. Ume, for example, in test 9, she exercised precise control to move the boxes one at a time. In test 10, she simultaneously levitated them all straight up a few inches, technically completing the test. Then in 14, she incinerated them. If not for the safety glass, what is happening after reset that leads to this variance, Alex? So this is from Alex U to Sylvan Bellamy, who was, I guess, the doctor guy who was testing us at the very beginning of the game. So we are very, very much 5 to 10 hours away from that character. Yeah. This is far too subtle as far as a thematic question that the game is trying to pose here as to, is the Morgan Yu who we're playing as now the same Morgan Yu as before, just because or is she a completely different person somehow because her memories were erased, uh, and she's lived a slightly different experience, and that there are perhaps just unmeasurable elements that causes little variances in decisions, and sometimes choices are very possibly just random, like 100% random as to what you would do. Um, but that's probably not the story to tell, and maybe that isn't the story that they are telling. It might be more that with each reset, you're getting a different neuromod with a different Typhon's DNA in it, and as such, you're getting a different personality addition to yourself. The biggest problem with the idea of am I the same person if I lose my memories is, like, in the real world, you have people that lose their memories, people that have Alzheimer's and dementia and such. And we don't consider them different people, per se, even though their personalities might shift quite a bit, and they would forget people and forget things. The truth is, it doesn't even get down to a level of having to treat humans who have had personality shifts any different than your average human, because an average human's personality is almost constantly in flux. So the truth is, humans are just like that. They change all the time. They make different decisions. It's often very random decisions. Yeah. There is, I guess, some base assumptions that you can kind of expect from a human, but humans have the capacity to always surprise. Um, Thus, they are not robots and not computers, which tend to not have the capacity to surprise. Uh, Crumpled paper, crumpled paper, crumpled paper. Is the crumpled paper next to the Kleenex supposed to mean those were crumpled Kleenexes? Because we've been finding crumpled paper all over the place. It would be kind of funny, I suppose, if it turned out, you can't lift these, that not mimics were killing these people, and that you, as Morgan Yu, have been killing all these people and then getting your brain reset and then investigating your own murders. I don't know what that would really lead to as a big revelation, though. Yeah, there's really a focus here with the desire to say, if you lose your memories, you lose everything that makes you human, or that you can drastically change because you lost your memories, and then you're no longer should be held uh, accountable or considered the same person before. Interesting. So here you have people like sitting on pillow cushions and playing video games, but we know there's no kids in this game. Here's the Fatal Fortress Dungeons and Dragons game. Pause now if you want to read that. So I guess maybe there's an attempt to say that Abigail Foy here was in that group. Here's those shoes we barely ever see. Pause now if you want to read this. Playing cards. weirdly, this just creates a situation where there's this group of people who seem to be the cool kids, or the nerdy kids, take your pick as how you want to actually describe them. And then every other person on the space station is more depicted as a very closer to being professional, corporate focused older person. Even this artwork here that feels like straight out of something like Ghost in the Shell definitely seems oddly different and out of place. Yeah, at a certain level, I guess they are being influenced by Ghost in the Shell, because there's definitely in the Ghost in the Shell movie, they're covering those exact same themes in particular, where people's brains get hacked in Ghost in the Shell, and then they have false memories and false personalities, and one character potentially has no memories at all and has just had it made up for her. And honestly, if you were going to do the elements of Ghost in the Shell and make a video game that was somewhat like that, that would be interesting. Alright, so we need the hidden treasure. Let's see if we can figure this out. You can transfer this for bolt caster ammunition. So then we have Conversation Archive, the melodrama is real. Let's listen to that.
Danielle, had a meeting with the great Alex Yu today. He gave me one of his bullshit. I'm sorry. No resolution. Between him and Morgan, it's like a tradition. You family sorry.
Was it as insincere as a Danielle show apology?
No.
Danielle, I'm not saying working with them is easy, but
did you just compare me to him? To that arrogant sack of shit?
Danielle, this has to stop.
You're right. Get out. We're done.
Danielle!
I said get out.
So, Danielle... I thought Danielle was dating Morgan Yu, but maybe she never was. Maybe she was, and then she dated Abigail. So we're following Danielle's just like entire dating history, I think, here on the ship, and I guess that is the idea. I guess that's the idea, is that Daniel Shu was the one employee who was dating around the other employees more than anybody else. And we kind of got this story backwards, which only makes it more difficult. It would make a lot of sense if... Let's see, what was this new skill chipset we got anyways? Reduce site costs for energy powers. It would make a lot of sense if there was a timeline that was much closer to the neuromods, where you'd have Daniel Shu specific date here, Daniel Shu specific date here, Daniel Shu specific date here, like, so no, it'd be like here, and here. Just a straight line using this exact same visual interface. And then at the beginning of the game, we would have found the, let's go ahead and unlock that while we're here. We would have unlocked like the last ending part of the story, and then jumped around a little bit and eventually unlocked the beginning or the important middle parts to have a full idea of what has been going on. I don't think we're going to use combat focus, and I don't think we even really need stealth. So what I'm going to do is wait, because I do think at some point I'm going to save and just get morph and see what happens. If that goes badly, I am going to then load from the save file. But because we've gotten it backwards, and it would be close to impossible to sort all the notes, emails, and audio logs together to get this narrative down I am just gonna forever not fully comprehend what the relationship was. Like, it definitely seems like they're trying to make that a big thing, but they've delivered it in multiple formats. Alright. So, this email from Daniel Shute Abigail Foy. I don't think this is a drill. Did you feel the vibration? Felt like a blast on the Odex. Are you okay? I heard some people hurt. Please be there, please. I tried calling Emma at the fitness center. Something seriously wrong there. Get out of crew and I'll come find you. And then treasure hunt. You're such a nerd, Abigail, is the response. So we were supposed to find Zachary West's map. Green's adventure. Find the Ellis's Black's map. Apparently I found that too. So we need to find Daniel Shue's map. And Emma Beatty's map. And then investigate Stabfellow's map. Man, a lot of quests all at once. And investigate Harden Baffle's map. Each of you should have a map fragment. Now I've managed to hand them to some of you in person. Others might have noticed a new file on your workstations in the last session. Work together and figure out the clues. Once you have, return to my quarters and I'll give you the prize. You humble game masters, Abigail. So, we need this hidden treasure code. And again, you would kind of think that there would be an easier way than just scrolling through all of this to try and find these solutions. Like looking at Stabfellow's map. I suppose this might be the kitchen. And so there's an L2 and a B2, and this might be... Wait, where would that even be on the map? I'm hoping it's all in kind of this area. But it may not be. Noticeably, you can't hack this. So whatever is in the hidden treasure is in the hidden treasure. That's just a red dot. I thought that might be something. Okay, so here's Daniel Shue now. Hey, you apparently misplaced your transcribe again. Just wanted you to know I still have some of your stuff in my room. Don't know if you want it back. Call me or something, Abby. And you can see that store is all opened. And that was Ivy's song. I'll just scan. Sorry to make sure there's no mimics. Danielle, missed you leaving your character sheet here, but I have a spare in case you don't make it back before the game. Don't worry. It looks great. See you at the rec center, Abby. So, yep. So it definitely seems like Abby was the rebound girl for Morgan Yu, breaking up with her. But also she has, I think, the Paraxis. So there's a crumpled and incomplete handwritten note. I'm sorry, It felt more personal to write you a note, but still not as terrifying as trying to apologize to you in person. I know I'm a coward, but I don't trust what I'm going to say, so. Abby, sometimes the words come running out of my mouth and you want to catch them all, but it's too late. They're out there. So these are all different I'm sorry notes. Abby, I'm not good at that. That's obvious. Words, blah. See. To do, find missing transcribe, check theater, get my stuff from Abby's cabin, finish draft of apology level, pull head out of vast priorities, relationships over work. Here's our tracking bracelet, which was what we were looking for, or what the map was pointing towards us. So here's a transcribe. She threw across the wall.
What are you doing? Are you recording this?
Joint transcripts are fun.
They are not.
It's like mental scrapbooking. You both save the moments that matter.
So that was enough of Daniel's voice print to now get to deep storage.
Enough to spoof the lock on deep storage anyway. Also, I've been monitoring noetic field signatures around the station when I can. With humans, the signal barely registers. The typhon make a strong ripple by comparison. But with the coral, my instrument readings are erratic. I'm not sure what it means. The sooner we get your arming key, the better.
So I wonder if it's a case where the coral is trying to make a half-human, half-titan hybrid as far as mental signals. Pause now if you want to read this. This is also, I think, the first time we've seen this Starbender cycle. Pause now if you want to read the rest of it. And I just got an achievement for, I think, reading all of the Starbender cycle. So that little side quest has been done. Can't play this guitar. Okay. Conversation archive. It's a date. Let's listen to this. This really feels like this should have been the main story.
So you're asking me if it's okay to record our game on the transcripts.
Yes. I know using the memory, it's not right.
I can't be having this conversation.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna lose my job for even talking to you about this. What? Exactly. What you're going to do is have dinner with me.
What?
You say what a lot when you should say yes.
Yes.
See, all settled. Don't worry about the transcripts. It's not against regulation. So are you gonna invite me to this game or not?
So yeah, I guess that was the beginning of the relationship. Let's see. What is it? We have an email here of my password. For starters, if you have any more questions about passwords, please email the IT department and don't use my personal address. Second, you should never type your password into an email, regardless of how tight your security is. You never know. Third, the password guidelines are just that, guidelines. You're all grown-ups and can use whatever you want, but we have a list of recommendations to keep passwords safe. Thanks, Daniel Shu, Chief Archivist. Yep. And this is from Lorenzo Calvino, who was having mental problems too. My workstation said it's time to update my password. I want to know if it's okay to use Kubla Khan or whether that fits your requirement. Regards, Dr. Calvino. So, we probably have already seen Lorenzo Calvino's computer either by hacking it or otherwise. Preparing for the concert. This is from Sky Braxton. Hey Danielle, I'm putting on a late shift at the bridge tonight. Left my TranStar in my pond. Could I convince you to bring it? On your way to deep storage, by the way. I have some ideas making our uniforms look more pop star for our demonstration at the Tulip. Don't be scared. Thanks. She apparently also played in a band. And then here's the same email that was sent to 4 different people. But where is the treasure map? Yeah, the weird thing here is certainly anything you can pick up potentially might have something under it, but is it really worth it to try and pick up everything? Thinking that it is in this area, or do we just make the assumption that our treasure map is somewhere else? I think we just make the assumption it's somewhere else. Right. We'd already gone through here. Having a pinball table in the area in your crew's quarters is interesting. So now we have our tracer bracelet, which seems like it may very well just be junk. So we have one more mission, 2 more rooms to look at here, and then at some point we'll probably investigate the 2nd floor of the fitness center on the 2nd floor with the yellow tulip. Just going here. Is this yet another both gender bathrooms? You can just kind of tell by the audio there's something that's going to probably attack you. That being said, it seems like poltergeists are more scripted appearances and not things that you can see and like recognize or shoot first, like the mimics. And poltergeists, even when they are around, for the most part, they start off as very invisible. Okay, absolutely nothing in there. Next room, Lorenzo Calvino's room. We can see a dead body here. We can see a lot here. Let's just investigate this more. Right. So he's got all kinds of looking glass technology that he was working on. And here is his in his crew quarters. We're looking at a whole city in a rainstorm on a lighthouse. It's like he's doing some art. Ooh, he is doing art based off of this. I really have to question though whether it's worth it to see if we can line this up visually. Can't quite be in the right place to line it up visually. You'd have to get really, really close. Yeah, I heavily question the value in crafting all of that. May 23rd, 5:23. As a reminder, EMP charge. We've got another computer that is not the same as the other computers. It's more of a TV screen, I guess, than an actual computer. Yeah, this is very artsy and definitely not something that you would have worked, or that, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say they shouldn't have bothered to make this. They should have instead had a model of the 3D looking glass of the fake Earth that we saw at the very beginning of the game. Had they done that, they could have shrunk the 3D modeling they had already done at the beginning of the game down, and then this could have been a reminder of that whole beginning sequence, even though the beginning sequence kind of doesn't matter. Right. LG visor prototype, the looking glass visor prototype 1. Just listen to all this.
I have never moved a neuromod, and yet, today, I could not find my way to the hardware labs. I wandered the arboretum for an hour. I made some excuse, but I know me you suspects. I cannot keep making boys for TranStar when I told Alex what I want to try. He gave me a device to help paralogical contraption. Morgan made it. Some of the components are beyond me.
So Morgan made some kind of device. I'd assume it's something maybe here, but maybe not. He's losing his memory. Here's another great example of people just not putting the care into modeling things correctly, having the wire just clip through the wall. Maybe Morgan has been secretly removing neuromods from him and he doesn't have anything actually wrong with his mind, but I would suspect that that's totally not the case.
Listen, again, there is something wrong with this station. Something here with us, but I am hallucinating now there. There is no question.
It may very well be that Morgan was just testing Typhon experiments on her. It is kind of crazy that Morgan seems to be a good engineer. That seems to be about the only thing she is actually good at, or like she's not really good as an executive.
I tried to open the locker, but I could not remember our anniversary. And for a moment, even her name escaped me. Her name. If one day I wake up and cannot even remember the work I am doing, I must give it all to Morgan. She will know what to do with it.
I wonder if Lorenzo Calvino wouldn't have trusted her at the beginning, and then she messed with his memory and manipulated him through being forgetful to make him trust her.
First test. Anterior electrodes overheated after seconds. But I swear, there was a moment. I saw her again. The day we met on the Costa Amalfi. Her lemon sundress. My Clorinda.
Right. So I assume this is where they met. And that's the idea, is that he was doing that. But even at that, this just points out that on Earth, everything seems to be fairly normal and downright boring. You're not seeing any technology here. No like floating blimps or flying cars. No giant tower buildings. Like, this is a island coastal city that looks untouched by time. Alright, let's turn off the looking glass and see that behind here is the safe and nothing else. So May 23rd, 0523. It's actually very helpful for the game to tell you the numbers and not just say the days, just for the people out there that maybe by default won't remember or know whether May is the 5th month or not, of which I have to admit I don't pay a lot of attention to that, so it would take me a few seconds to count the months to figure that out myself. Okay, there's no repairing the looking glass here. Noticeably, the lighthouse here was right where you needed to swing, or for the most part. This definitely seems like this is just a prototype though, so I don't think he got anywhere with it. And meanwhile, all I did by getting in this area was collect a few more neuromods, which is fine and all, but crew habitation pods. Right. Somebody's levitating me, so I need to keep moving. Need to figure out where this guy is. Is he up high? He's a poltergeist. Guess I probably had scanned poltergeists before. You have really inconsistent situations now, and this doesn't make any sense that there would be crew habitation pods for, I guess, even a lower tier of employee than that are being given the same amount of space as the volunteers. Let's see. Code. We got a code there. If I specifically needed to jump up to these areas, I guess I can do that. But doesn't seem like there's much there. Here we have another transcribe.
This is Fowls.
Officer Fowls. Malia, I have an important request. It's sensitive. I need to know I can trust you with a surveillance matter.
Yes, of course, sir. It's just that normally I do something like that without consent from Elazar HR and another director.
Those people report to me, Malia.
Yes, sir. I understand.
I want you to keep an eye on Elazar. Where she goes. How she keeps visitors.
I'll log everything on the security computer.
Good. Send me your report at the end of the week.
Yes, sir.
So that's a follow-up on the whistleblower thing. Just checking to see if maybe those are the security, smuggling things.
Wanted to check in on this guy.
Just a neuromod hanging over. I feel weird.
I can't believe you got modded for Alex's clown show at the Tulip.
Are you kidding? I've always wanted to play an instrument, never had the time. It's so. It's like I see the music in my head. I feel like I've been doing this since I was seven. Besides, you are going to be on stage with me, right?
Only to catch you suddenly collapse. And only from punching Alex if I drink too much.
So this band is really people just neuromodding, it seems. You have to get the angle just right. Definitely interesting that didn't play. It definitely feels like there should be more rooms and less habitat quarters, or just less habitat quarters, less pods. Get rid of the pods completely and have less people completely.
You've got me really curious.
Are you ready for your instructions, my lady?
This better not get us into trouble. Not too much trouble anyway.
First, journey to the tree where we carved our initials.
And what if I bump into Julian Howard?
Run like hell. Julian the ogre does not like touching his trees or his fruit.
Probably be a lot less grumpy.
Anyway. Beneath a stone, you will find a magical key card. This key card will unlock everything your heart desires.
Oh, well, I don't need a key for that.
And don't worry about work. Michaela's taking extra shifts. It's your birthday.
So we have a new objective that I think that's probably in the Arboretum. And see here you have a smaller one of those posters. Okay, it is. It's weird to get so many transcribes at once. Interesting, here you have running medals. And this is the first, I think, dark-skinned character we've seen in the entire game, which, hey, if you were going to set this in a world where JFK surviving led to segregation or something like that, I'd be willing to believe that and live with that. In Rapture on BioShock, they pretty much didn't let non-white people in, and even Irish people who were back in the day not considered white were treated as second-class citizens. That's why Atlas is Irish sounding. Hi Mommy, I've been having bad dreams since you left. Dr. Preston said I should draw it and that would help them go away. I hope you like my picture and come home soon. I love you, Ko-Ray. And the picture looks like a phantom, as if the children on Earth are being infected by Titans. That would be an interesting twist if it turned out that the Titans are already on Earth. This person liked to drink. Let's see. I guess pause now if you want to read this. He wants mods to play baseball. This would have been a good opportunity to have kind of a jump scare happen too. Like, there's plenty of little rooms here where that could have occurred. Look, what you could have curved in here and found one of these was a mimic. And I guess if you don't have the scanner and you were just running around swinging the wrench, you would have to play that way. I just don't think many, if anybody, would ever. I don't think many people would play the game and not have the scan mode. Arguably, maybe the scan mode shouldn't exist because it is a mess, but you don't make a whole system and expect people not to use it in a game, or you shouldn't make a whole system and expect people not to use it. Just make sure we got everything. Where on the map? Where does this door go? This is just a breach, so you can't go any further. Sparks and things happening all over the place. Yeah, nowadays when I see sparks like this and effects like this, it feels like sometimes people, game developers, are so focused on having visual effects added to their game, even if they don't really add that much, over just having more appreciable content, better writing, better interactions. Right, so I could go into this area, or I could go check the upper area. Let's go check where this leads. So I guess I just had never gotten into this area before. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read this. Judges 0526 probably means something. Shotgun, handgun. Right. Okay. Typhons would give us exotic material, whereas if I dismantle it for spare parts, where are spare parts? That'll give us metal. So dismantle 10 of those to have more spare parts. This guy would give me 2 spare parts, and I basically have to do it anyways just to get room back. Probably would be beneficial to also dismantle this just to get some extra room back there too. I have to assume that this guy is a military guy, a security guy, and that's why he's got all the guns. That being said, Sarah Elazar, let's grow. Yeah. If there was a passcode in here, it would have to be like under something. Yeah, it would have to be under something, or some other system I just have never figured out or seen. Like, you can't interact with these TV monitors. You can't move them. So, If anything, it really just feels like they introduced the idea of sticky notes for passwords at the very beginning of the game and did not follow up on that idea at all. So it became a system to solve the early game problem while not staying true to that idea. Weapon kit fabrication plan, we've already have that multiple times over. Yeah. I am reading more of these emails, trying to figure out if there's important parts to this. And it does kind of feel like everything is important, so me skipping a lot of the emails probably was a mistake. But this is definitely not the experience you want to have. It's very much stop and go. Like, stop, read all the emails on the computer, search a room for a bunch of garbage, and then maybe every 3 or 4th room you'll have a Titan that attacks you. This is Alex Yu missing his missing key card to escape. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if I want to. Pause now if you want to read this. So he would normally, apparently, like, it seems like what they probably do is they put a neuromod in employee's brain when they first start working on this station, and then when they want to fire the employees or get rid of them or even retire them, they may very well remove the neuromod, which would reset their mental condition, their mental state back to a point before they started working there. Right, so to get here, still missing a key card on that. So I want to get into this area. I know that this area visually clips right through the wall here. So if you could potentially knock down this wall, if there was like a secret panel on this wall, you could get in there, but that doesn't seem like that's the case. Interesting that it prompts up to crew cabins A. We'll look along this wall just to see if there possibly was something else. Like an air vent or something. Petri dish samples. Missed some things. Definitely are missing things. Yep. So I'm just going to make a hard save here. And then I'm going to do the thing that I've been avoiding doing this whole time, even knowing that the game seems very much interested in me doing it. You can see in the lower right hand corner, Typhon material in your system is just below the threat threshold where station turrets would consider you a threat. If I go to neuromods, if I take morph 1, and we do that, Seems like that is still an acceptable threshold. Okay, so we'll mimic material, which means I need to find something and put it here. Okay, so you can mimic what? Typhon? I don't want to mimic Typhon stuff. You can mimic a chair. Okay. It basically seems like you have to have the coffee cup. Like nothing else possibly is small enough. I can try and squeeze out of this. This really does just create a situation where you basically have to turn into something to get through a room. And then I'm out of psi power, so it's kind of questionable how I'd even get out of this room. Let's just make sure there's no mimics in here. Pause now if you want to read this. I'm still assuming that these are pointless things. And pause now if you want to read this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's perhaps a slight puzzle. They put 2 psi hypnos there so we could refill our psychic abilities. Right. This looks just like more whistleblower stuff. But unless there's just a achievement for reading every email, I kind of assume there's not anything here. Am I leaving this area too early? Do we think that there's possibly some other secret? What is this supposed to be? If there were secret compartments or smuggling going on, I mean, how in the world would you possibly find it? So it does just seem like that's more backstory. And certainly that has been my feeling as far as just what I suspected this whole game was going to do when you get into the morph ability. Oh man, that did not work, and so I don't think eating a couple more would work either. Let's just go ahead and use one of these and refill most of our psi ability. Yeah, this is something I imagine they thought was really good. What is the status, by the way? Well-fed bonus? Interesting. Even though my health is not at the most, being well-fed, I am slowly increasing my health. Interesting. So potentially, I could have done a lot of things to... Let's go... Let's ask a question. Can we go upstairs? Yeah, we can go upstairs. We should check that out. Where's the recycler? Up here? And honestly, at this point, you might as well just not scan, and if something decides to jump scare you, just shoot it. Yeah. Transfer all of that junk, and then sort again. And then we've got an extra handgun for some more material. And get rid of that one. Those. Let's see. Pomegranate moonshine versus tequila. We'll get rid of both. There's no reason to keep either one, actually. The fear aspects really don't make a lot of sense. Suit repair kits. Let's see if we could split that in half and get rid of 5 of those. And then move that onto that. Get rid of that. We could get rid of 1 apple, but it's probably not going to be a problem. By making 10 anti-rads, I made more than I would ever need in the entire game, it seems. Okay. So then we just want to kind of get down to some basics here. At a certain level, I could start to get rid of bullets in the handgun, because I question whether I would come back and ever use the handgun, unless something is just going to take away my ability for the shotgun. Whereas I still don't think I'd ever use the Q-beam or the glue cannon as my default attack weapon. That would be a little crazy. And we have a Q-beam here that's favorited. Glue gun, hunter bolt caster. It's funny because this basically is the Resident Evil 4 system, and yet it just doesn't feel as nice as the Resident Evil 4 system, because you're spending too much time in it with it. It loses its luster as it shifts inventory management from being a secondary gameplay mechanic to almost being a primary gameplay mechanic in Prey. Alright. We didn't go over here and investigate this part. We didn't. Okay. See, like, you have a mimic here, and the only reason you would go to a handgun is because your zoom on it is too far. But then you just go back to a shotgun at this level. We should check our objectives and just check the map in general. Like deep storage arboretum, signal Danielle in the fitness center. So she may still be alive. Smuggling ring. Let's see. Finding the other maps. We're still looking for. But everything else seems like it is in the cargo bay. So this might be just an environment where we run into one phantom, or we just run into a bunch of alcohol. And we got 3 bullets for 1 bullet being shot or 2 bullets being shot at the phantom. Yellow tulips. Now interestingly there, that's a weird situation because we'll hold the X and try and take everything here as far as alcohol. You'd think this would be setting up for like a nightmare fight. Bar top drinking, get you out, get you drunk. Sink. Probably undrunks you. I guess if the idea was that maybe you were being heavily encouraged to do something. We can hear there's a phantom over there. If you're being heavily encouraged to get drunk, or if you're fighting and running into fear. Let's see. Escape pods didn't work, and we believe it was intended. These black shapes are everywhere, and everyone we know about is dead, or something worse. We aren't going to let this happen to us, to our families. We love you. Brandy, Pester, and Jenny. Garbage. So I think they just shot themselves, from the looks of it. Lemon peel. I don't think we've seen a lot of lemon peels. So meanwhile, we'll just take everything in the supply closet. So yeah, you would have expected to see at least a little bit of that, maybe a little bit more than we have seen, as far as people killing themselves before being killed by mimics, because it does seem like a fairly brutal way in which the mimics go. It doesn't seem like quite there yet. I found 2 yellow tulips, and those may be the only 2 yellow tulips in the entire game. And here you have what almost certainly should have been a interesting ghost sequence or hollow projector sequence where you'd actually hit a button and cause something. Yeah. think that that would lead towards mimics or typhons or phantoms or something coming towards you. And yeah, they're just not really explaining the idea enough, I think, as far as how these people are capable of playing, in that they have put in neuromods from people who had actual talent to become players of musical instruments. Thought there was something back there, but not. I guess not. So I guess we need to turn the power back on, and there might be a whole sequence where we're supposed to turn the power back on, and then that will cause either a phantom or a poltergeist. The names of the labels of things are kind of interesting too, in that, and in the dark it is really, really hard to see. So the mimic is like this. It's that one, but there's a tiny little martini glass. Nothing in the briefcase. Dwarf Red Cosmos are usually what we get. Pause now if you want to read this. Okay. Seems like your only options are to go that direction. Let me just look at the map just to kind of confirm what I'm looking at. Yeah. There is a power controller possibly behind this door. And I'll just struggle to get through here. Come on, gun. Okay. Close that and open it again. What are we glitching on? Am I going to really have to possess something? Right. Just move that out of the way. See if that's anything. If I swing in the air, I miss. If I swing here, I miss. If I swing here, I miss. So it feels... Oh, interesting. So I could have been doing that the whole time, I guess. Too. Just feels like this is glitched. See if maybe walking backwards into it maybe would do something. It does just seem like there's a lip there. Is there a way to slide? There might have been a way to slide a long time ago. As far as... Probably would be easier to look at tutorials. Ton of tutorials here I have not looked at. Combat focus. Deadly combos. We've seen those. Q-beam. Shotgun. We definitely have seen these things before. Chipsets. Sneak attacks. Silence pistol. Interesting that I got that shotgun is before silence pistol. Recycler. Exploration. Yeah, they definitely do encourage you to explore. Here's like a great example of probably what the game really should have been, is that you would have seen either ghosts or people alive in security stations in particular. Would have made a lot of sense that they are just holding up there and refusing to leave. Alright. So it doesn't seem to me like there's a slide. Thought there might be. Okay. Quick save and then quick load. Hopefully that would reset things so that you could actually get through here. No such luck. Alright, well then let's try something a little bit crazier. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to jump on it. And then that's going to get me high enough to get over that gap. That's absolutely ridiculous, but whatever. We did it. Turn on the power. I imagine I'm just going to end up getting like a chipset and fight a phantom in here. Something that I could potentially scan. Where are you? Where'd you go, Greater Mimic? I know he's around here somewhere. Did the turret get it? Nope. Let's try. Combat focus. Yeah, using up all my psi powers. Totally missed this person. So let's just stop being stealth, and let's just see if we can get it to actually attack me. Finally. Right. If anything, I think that just kind of highlights a music neuromod demonstration. Yeah. This is exactly what I expected was going to happen, is that the audio would attract phantoms, but if anything, it also kind of, I think, highlights how there could have been a much better system audio-wise around the idea. If you make even the smallest of sounds, you would summon a enemy at you. Definitely seems like there's more phantoms that could be around. And so that was the music neuromod. Let's listen
Welcome, everyone. We've made an amazing achievement. As of 12 hours ago, we have broken the 8,000 euro mark. 8,000 euro mods. Sharing skills, abilities, improving the quality of life. And you are to be congratulated. You are the ones who made this all possible. And congratulations to my dear sister, Morgan. It was left for Earthside assistant marketing efforts with the TranStar board of directors. So let us toast to TranStar, to the Neuromart, and the future.
So that probably is a lie.
What is success if it can't be shared? Let me introduce a few of our employees. None of which had any musical talents until yesterday. Except Chief Show, who I'm told has a lovely singing voice. Sky, Danielle, whenever you ladies are ready.
So yeah, they're making it more obvious that they were all neuromodded. Which, okay, good to make that obvious. I think it was a lie when he said that Morgan Yu went back to Earthside. This does present a potential question as to whether there are close to 8,000 neuromods that are on Earth, and that the Typhons may already be staged to take over the entire planet. And then this almost is like ambience that would have been in the game in other places. Like, we've heard this quieter in other places, as it is just playing for video game sake. And I don't particularly want to listen to all of the ambient electric, and the acoustic guitar, I imagine, would play out fine. It would be almost for achievement's sake that you would listen to all this. And I assume that this is probably going to just keep on playing. And then general white noise. So if there was something about white noise in particular that either attracted or didn't attract mimics, that'd be interesting. The problem is we've not seen in any things that I've read. In all fairness, I've only attempted to read about half of the text in the game. Yeah. There's a phantom somewhere around here. If the game had said that there was something more to it. I have no idea where this phantom is, though. It's gotta be something that was, like, spawned. It's gotta be down lower, I guess. Unless there's some kind of secret area. Let's just look at the map and I don't get the feeling that there's a secret area. So I do just assume that this phantom... I could, like, fortify this, and we have still yet to really get an idea as far as how valuable having a fortified element is. Let's see. Guess we haven't gotten over to this section. How would we have reached that section? Let's just do it this way. Like repairing and fortifying a turret. Like, I suppose if you were to create an entire environment and stage where you're going to call the nightmare down and just have a bunch of turrets ready, fortified to go, there might be an idea around using turrets then. But that is just to make a huge assumption that the turrets are going to be of any real use. Even in that case, we've already been up here, we just didn't really exit out of that door. And I don't think there's anything actually there, so I'm gonna save myself some frustration and see if we can transfer junk. And while we're at it, transfer a gun and a wrench, a stun gun, and another wrench. Get rid of these EMP charges also. And arguably, I guess we get rid of these bullets too. Yeah. You can also see how the game would start to fall apart if you had another upgrade you could do that would have
diagnosing like you've had a rough day. This will only take a moment. Good as new.
Yeah. If you had another upgrade that would have given you more recycling material, that probably would have caused you to lose and die. Oh, no, what am I trying to say? Man, I am just rambling. This game wears me out with all the repetitive actions. If you could upgrade the amount of recycling material you got more of, the game would become too easy. Renovated 2025. This code was not 2025 though. So, the last place to go is the locker room and pool. There is a second floor on the pool and the fitness center. There's got to be a phantom over there. There's also a monster in the executive suites that's probably going to be freed in some scripted way. I'd be fairly surprised if Daniel Shu is alive. We kind of know that there is a There's probably some mentally controlled humans that we're going to try and knock out with the null bombs. If we can get away with that. Which probably means would be wiser to go up high first. Let's see how many of these null wave transmitters do we have. I literally just killed somebody because of that. By throwing the null wave transmitter. Somebody just burned to death.
He's not answering. Come. Emma? Please. No. Emma, I can barely hear you.
Is Abby with you? Are you okay?
It's not me. It's not. I won't.
We got like two recordings next to each other. Okay. And we'll just search through all these lockers very quickly. It definitely could have been a case where you had more lockers throughout the game, and at least that would keep your eye upward. Very often we're searching trash cans and looking at things like this. Here you see two of the exact same posters being reused. It doesn't fully make sense that there wouldn't be a mimic also in this area, but seems like the game really only has a certain number of AI characters it can have, or a certain number of types of AI characters in small areas. Let's just go ahead and search down here some more. So this guy I think could have been alive. This guy probably was dead. This guy was probably dead. This very well may have been the one that actually died. So I'd hate to think I threw off the null wave transmitter and killed 4 people, but honestly it happens, so it's not something that I'm really that concerned about. Okay.
New sound tab available.
Okay. So I guess the game is actually a bit of a stealth experience in this case, because I want to knock out as many humans with the null wave first before I take out the techno person. Also seems very possible and probable even that in this upper area there would be a phantom or a mimic. There we go. That was worth an experiment, I guess. You can't like use this lifting equipment. This is an interesting design for weightlifting, and it kind of makes some great sense that you would have more safety precautions so that you don't drop weights on your neck and you don't need a spotter, which most of these are not set up in such a way that there could be a spotter behind, making sure you don't drop the weight on your neck. I mean, of course, weight lifting equipment is probably not designed to be super fancy technology wise, and more designed to just be somewhat cheap. So we have a neuromod, and let's see, Hunter's Bolt Caster version 1.3, which I don't think I really am getting different versions of the Huntress Bolt Caster, and even if I was, I don't think it really matters. Let's see. So, as you know, Morgan's ability is going to be extremely limited in the upcoming weeks. She'd like to schedule a personal training sessions tomorrow if possible. Can you possibly adjust your schedule to accommodate that? Morgan would be greatly appreciated. The key code to the executive suites is 9036. So just another of that. And then here's another mention of the maps. Mod Enhanced Yoga. Pause now if you want to read that. Okay. So we have a telepath here. And then we have a Madison. Alright, and null wave transmitter. Throw. Do we have anybody else that we need to worry about? I think we're good. Just let him basically shoot me. Let's go ahead and recharge the Q wave. So, you'd think that it'd be interesting if there was a mimic down here, but you would think there would need to be some kind of object, and if there was a 3D object here, you would assume then that that would be an object you would need to use a lot more often. So unless there was just shoes in the pool or something, it could be one of these, certainly. What I wouldn't want to see is, so there's another person we've managed to save. Not doing a great job, but we saved quite a few people. Yep. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good intent, I suppose. This fitness class weirdly seems like it would be breakable. Fitness center window. one of the things that also needs to be addressed. Does everything need to have TranStar on it? I guess so. That is very corporate of them. I feel like there is still a phantom somewhere that I've missed. Set me on fire, why don't you? Okay, I could have snuck around like that. There was this map. What's new on data? We'll start with Poltergeist is level 4. Telepath is now at level 4. Okay. Looks like there might be plans for one last thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to fabricate something.
Abigail, I'm recording this time. You too, Emma.
It's fine. Danielle's joining us. She'll cover us if we get into trouble. She said yes.
We negotiated. I had to say yes to some things too.
There's a whole we should meet soon exclamation story here. Alright, so notes. Here we have a note that says L1, and you can see there's an eye pointing in that direction. If we look at the map, is there any place on level 1 that feels like that in this area? Oh man, you really are just gonna jump all over the place too. Let's see, level 1, go upstairs or go downstairs. Yeah, it seems like you very possibly need to run all around the entire world to do this treasure hunt, and I would have to just consult each of these maps in some way, and then looking in a specific direction, I can only assume that you're going to end up seeing a number. 4-digit numbers are too high to brute force. So if I got 2 numbers, it would be 100. Pause now if you want to read this. Almost missed that. So, yeah. If I could find two of the maps, that'd be fine, but seems like your best bet would probably be to just cheat and look up the answer online. And it really is just going to come down to, do you think you're actually going to get all the achievements in this game? And I would lean towards assuming the answer to that is probably no, because I'm looking at like 46 achievements left to unlock, so either there's a massive amount of more game content in this game, or we are 80 to 90% completed on a lot of achievements, and we just need to cross the threshold to the 100%. Still have yet to figure out what the deal with this is. Doesn't seem like much. Oops. That is not in the game. That is a new alarm clock I set up and we'll have to deal with later. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm experimenting with actually having an alarm clock, and immediately by actually having an alarm clock, I'm setting off beeping sounds. Hopefully that... Yeah, that did it. I don't even know what we're actually doing here, though. Looks like we're breaking this window. Fitness center window. So, let's check our objectives. Signal Danielle in the fitness center. Banging on the glass. So she is alive. Interesting what their mask looks like.
If you're here, then Abby didn't make it. Did she? I don't. Nothing more that I can do for you right now. But look. Be careful. There's someone else in crew quarters pretending to be the cook. His tracking bracelets from psychotronics, but the ID doesn't make any sense. I think he's the one that killed Abby.
Interesting.
If you can, make sure he doesn't get off the station. I'll see what else I can do to help from out here. For as long as I can. Goodbye, Morgan.
It's interesting they don't say like miss you or anything like that, and then she seems to like, but yeah, she was dating her. So Morgan makes more sense. Noticeably there, they did not want to show a face and animate that.
Chief show. You've got what you need to get into deep storage.
Okay. So let's look at the map and see if we missed anything. Doesn't seem like we really did, other than fighting that one marked Typhon. So, use a sample of Danielle shows to enter deep storage. We're still just following the January thing. Deep storage. We could just escape Talos I. Kill the imposter. Cook. And we're just going to take her word for it, even though we didn't even see her face. And we don't know if she is being controlled. We didn't find Daniel Shu's map anywhere. And yeah, everything else is just like either cargo bay or deep storage. If we look at the station map, like, to get to the cargo bay is also to get to the power plant and life support, and I think all of that has to be a main story thing. Deep storage is going to be part of that, almost certainly. Not a lot of other things to do. We have mods, so we should consider upgrading something, since we have no more mods. And it would be a little too wasteful to just increase the wrench. So, if we increased our psi points now for 2, that'll refill that. And then we can do that. I think that's a decent choice. The only other option would have been to just increase toughness, which we really don't even need that. Like, we don't really need to increase anything. I could do more damage with sneak attacks eventually, and that would increase damage. Probably should do that before toughness is increased, because our health is just in such a good position. We can go ahead and upgrade our stun gun some more. The other thing that's kind of noticeable about this is if we were to look at the other notes, you can't like favorite these notes. So I'd have to just scroll here until I saw the pictures. Level 2 with I do think I know that I do think level 2 is actually the Lily Lounge. Basement 2 obviously would have to be somewhere else though. I don't want to kill the guy even though he tried to kill me. Though. I don't want to just be the judge, jury, and executioner. If I can avoid it. I may not be able to avoid it, however. And I guess a certain question also would point down to, if I have that objective, then the map would have to tell me where to go for that objective. And yeah, not really seeing an answer to that question either. Right. 6. So we got one number. Get rid of one gun. Get rid of suit repair kits. Probably should use a suit repair kit while I'm on it. And then anything that would give us metal should be considered an option. And then just hold on to things that don't give you metal. 20 spare parts seems like more than enough to recycle, or more than enough to hold on to. Since we got all that alcohol, that puts us in a much better position. Probably should just get rid of 45 bullets, which is a point of basically going in circles, because I know I crafted some bullets early on in the game, but we're now adjusting for that, and this is the right move. I'm just not going to use the handgun enough to justify having even a full stack. Could also get rid of half of a stack of the Sci things. What did I just do? You gotta hit the right stick to split that and put that in there. You can even see how, even with this deep bin they've made, it's fairly easy to to miss that. Alright. Stun gun, stun gun, stun gun. There we go. Let's go and investigate this guy and see if he's around. He may just be a boss character. I do hear what sounds like a monster. I guess going forward, the idea would be to just, if you see a number on the wall, look at the number, and I suspect that would be good enough. Yeah. Perhaps there was a mission here and you were just always going to have the option to kill the guy after a certain point. And if I had found Danielle Shu earlier, I would have been pushed to kill him faster. Like, you still can't really talk to Skillet or do anything more. There's not really anything here. See, a tracking bracelet and suspicious meat. Interesting, so he was chopping up people. And potentially eating them. Cannibal. Yeah, I'm not gonna say he's a good guy or anything, but it still just feels weird to decide I'm gonna kill this guy because somebody told me or because of some other element. These blocks of ice, I wonder if there's something to be done with this. Nope, doesn't seem like it. Okay, crafting time. Weapon upgrade kits. First, I could do with about 6 of them. And then I might at that point run into a situation where everything is upgraded fairly well. And yeah, there's so many areas left that basically am just opting to use my resources now. Because let's sort this better. This can't be upgraded. This is fully upgraded. This would take more upgrades to potentially be good. And maximum range. So yeah, you're looking at 9 more upgrade kits for that, and just a massive upgrade kits for the glue gun. And I really don't need shotgun shells. I'll grab some if I can craft some, and if for some way I can get neural mods too, that'd be great. I think when this game first launched, there was a bit of a inconvenience in which items would get stuck up there and you couldn't reach them. And they've added a check for that to make sure you pick up items first before you make too many. Let's see. Shotgun shells. I'll grab 12 of those. And that's pretty much all we can craft. Unless we wanted to, say, make a Hunter's Bolt caster and then break it down. I mean, it would be annoying to do this, but it does kind of make sense. If you take that took 2 of the orange resources. Now you come over here and you dismantle it, which would have given you back only 1 orange resource, and that gives you a spare part, where 1 spare part gives you some amount of the mineral resources. I don't know why this tracking... Yeah, this tracking bracelets, I guess, are still a thing. They're just junk. There we go. So, power and range upgraded on the disruptor gun, incapacitation rate and range upgraded on the glue gun. If we do find one more gun, that would be interesting. Since we did get an upgrade here, let's see. Super speed scan makes sense. Slowly regenerate side power over time is not really necessary. Shield effects of null wave transmitter, don't really need that. Wrench critical, don't really need that. Boost the amount of damage done by an electrostatic shock. Boost the amount of damage done by psi shock. Reduces the initial psi cost of morph powers. Grants resistance to fear. Reduce psi cost of energy powers. Let's just go fear resistance. Suit wise, since there are 2 beam shieldings, we still are missing one last thing. It almost seems like, as far as the suits, that there would only be enough chips for each slot, where it's absolutely not the case with the scope chipsets. I'm not sure that there really is a logical system between any of that makes sense. It very well may be a case. It's not really worth making more Hunter's Bolt casters, though, just because it would take too long. If I was to, say, do the same thing with the bolts themselves, that definitely wouldn't work. Suit repair kits. I guess we could investigate that. No, suit repair kits are also only orange. So, doesn't seem like there's anything to any of that. Right. So the last thing we did to fight the guy, as we came through there and found that he had booby trapped that, I thought that might be the beginning of the whole game, like booby trapping areas, but doesn't seem like that's really the case. We might run into a few more booby traps later on. definitely sounds like there's a phantom somewhere around here. And that seems like that is consistently the case, is that there are potentially phantoms everywhere. Why? Why is this guy here? We had already gone up to the executive suites. Maybe that was supposed to be... That's not the fat chef guy. What? Okay, so we're going a little long here. I think I figured out what I was supposed to do, which was I was supposed to chase him up to the executive suites, and that the code possibly had been changed. And so there was supposed to be this long-running chase sequence, and maybe I just wasn't looking in the right direction or what. But yeah. So I want to fling a body upward. Alright. 9036 to turn on the maglevs again. So we still have this technopath, potentially making it seem like maybe the technopath was the guy controlling the fake cook character. But there's just no telling. One thing that definitely feels weird here is that it definitely feels like with all these workstations and everything, that the old Morgan definitely is an engineer, a constructor. She's not really a scientist. There needed to be kind of a science station or some sciencey things here if that was going to be the idea. And she's definitely not a security person. So one way you define yourself with the Nor mods to be like the old Morgan, and other ways you define yourself to be completely different. Here the sink is missing still, after being away from that area. Pause now if you want to read that. Okay. So if the fake cook went up here, where would he have gone? I guess he just didn't go up here. Okay. So there was no bombs on any of that. We've been through all of these doors. It would be really strange if he was just here. Also be fairly strange if I ran into a mimic. This exploded open door. Maybe that was supposed to be where the fake cook broke in. But if anything, that probably just leads to an assumption that he's somewhere else. You know what? I really should take more advantage of a well-fed bonus. Just eat that, and eat that. And see if that gives me the well-fed bonus. Let's see. Missed a whole thing here. I imagine I'm missing a lot of stuff. We're already in here. Then down here. If the cook had gone this way, there would have been some booby traps. It doesn't feel like that's the case. Okay. Run. A when running. X when running is reload. We're in here. We never found Jardamark's key card, which maybe means we'd have to come back later. We're in here. We transformed and morphed ourselves into that. We're well in here. If we got the second possible number, yeah, that well-fed bonus took me from like 70 to nearly 100. And the audio here is, I think, pretty much just goofing around and doing weird triggers to scare you. Okay, so we saw a booby trap here. There's no booby trap here. Who? Do we know who he is, per se? The cook is still out there and a threat to all remaining crew. Interesting. They're just telling you that straight. So we're just gonna have to find him, and fight him. And that probably is a later game experience. Interestingly, though, we have saved a lot of lives by knocking people unconscious. Employee 1129. Grant Lockwood is who I suspect we should be searching, since we have nobody here anyways. So we've got everybody in the crew quarters. We found all that. We've missed a lot of people. Let's just do this correctly here. A lot of these people also are just corpses, and we know that there are no life signs anyways. So we're not even going to have that many other options to save people. I'm not actually looking for the person I'm looking for, Lockwood. I'm just generally trying to get a general idea of how much of this we've done. We are approaching like 80-75% completion, I would guess, as far as finding people. Of course, off station at Coraline Wheeler. Interesting. Okay. So Lockwood, I think, was psychotronics. Would be my guess. Talos I lobby, Trevor Young. Dayo Igwe, we might choose that one. There's somebody to look for. If we can't find Lockwood. If Lockwood was fired, he just may not be in the system. And very possibly, this isn't Lockwood at all. Grant Lockwood. Location unknown. Okay. So this was the Bioshock equivalent of an evening with Sandra Cohen, I would say. It was alright. It was nowhere as good, however, let's just be honest, as the Bioshock evening with Sandra Cohen. We're at 100% on our health and armor and psi powers. We have a decent amount of shotgun shells, a decent amount of kind of everything. Yeah. We're still moving the main objective and the main story forward, which is getting the key to blow up the place, and mostly we're just trying to do side missions. Drop points around Talos. Like, if there are 6 drop points around Talos, you would assume that probably 1 in most areas. And again, if you're going to try and find all of that and get an achievement around that, I wonder if you shouldn't just straight up look up a walkthrough to help you instead of wasting a bunch of time. probably won't spend too much time in the Arboretum next episode. Anyways. Like, we're just going to... get some different audio once we're back into a different area. Yep. The only thing I guess you could do is look at the map here and see if perhaps there's something on the map that looks more like what you're supposed to deal with. There is a bridge section that we also have not accessed yet, and getting to the bridge requires turning on specific, let's see, elevators. So we can go back and check just to see if we have a code for this, code for that elevator, code for that elevator. Once that's all said and done, whichever one of those leads to deep storage, we'll move to the next area. We may fight a few people. Wow, we have a lot of weapons. What happened there? I guess when I died, the save file happened right after I had picked up yeah, the save file happened after I picked up the weapon upgrades, not after I used the weapon upgrades. Alright, that's fine. Taking that one morph ability did not do anything. So if I really needed regeneration or a bigger morph ability, that probably is somewhat on the table. We could look for these two people. That's another thing. I guess if we look for Annalise or Mikhail Iushin, there might be a mission or submission around that. Whereas I'm not sure there's any other exclamation point around that. Yep. Let's see. His office 8097. I don't know why there's an exclamation point on that one either. I've already been to his office, I think, unless he has a workshop and an office. Bellamy. Yeah, so there's like 3 urgent things that might connect to finding people that we might need to use the person locator for. We're still just below the threshold as far as being attacked by turrets. Audio log wise, we've got a ridiculous amount of audio logs. In all fairness, even in Bioshock 1, in the Bioshock games, you never really need to go back and look at the audio logs after you've accomplished your main goal. We have a long list here of key cards and codes and not that many passwords, which probably means that there might have been more passwords and I'm just really bad at finding them. There's still a long list of nightmares and other things that need to be scanned. I do question maybe if we would be able to scan 2 more photic phantasms. We probably could. I guess one of the questions certainly to ask here is there a point in this game where phantoms and phantasms and poltergeists and all them might just infinitely spawn, or are you actually limited to a certain number of enemies in a certain number of sequences? Yep. inherently, if this was going to be more of an open world game, you would need to have them infinitely spawn and have a reason why you would want to run around while ignoring the main story and kill things. And there isn't a good reason at the moment. You don't get back enough bullets for it to be worth it. You don't get any other major resources. The only premium currency as far as resources are concerned is exotic material, and you can see I have over 100 of that. So the mineral material became the actual premium currency because I was making so many bullets, and even now mineral material is not in that dire of need. It's just a matter of getting more weapon upgrade kits. But once I've upgraded every weapon to its maximum, I won't have anything to even do with the weapon upgrade kits, so I probably will sit on a stack and then recycle any extras. Let's make a save. I do need to be careful about any traps, because that definitely seems like that would be what we might run into, and we can see that there's a new operator, so it does seem like there will be a new collection of some bad guys in the Arboretum, as it is more of a central hub area that you're supposed to run through a couple times. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.